All right, let's dive into something huge. We're talking about the story of how the world's largest democracy literally wrote its own rulebook. This is the incredible journey behind the Constitution of India. Seriously, just think about that for a second. If you had to write a rulebook for an entire brand new nation, where would you even start? It's a mind-boggling thought, right? But that's the exact monumental challenge India's founders were up against. So let's get into how they even began to tackle it. Okay, so picture this. The year is 1947. The British era is over. A new nation is born. But, it's not like starting with a blank slate. Not at all. It's this incredibly complex tapestry of cultures, languages, and histories. And somehow, all of that has to be woven together into one single unified country, with one set of guiding principles. No small task. And that brings us to the first major hurdle. That complex tapestry we just mentioned, that was the grand challenge. We're talking about the sheer scale and complexity of it all. This was way more than just writing down a few laws. This was about defining the very idea of a new India. I mean, just look at the numbers. This was the puzzle they had to solve. You've got over 300 million people, more than 1,600 languages being spoken, multiple major world religions, deep-rooted caste systems, and these vast economic gaps between people. So how on earth do you create a system that's fair for everyone? How do you build unity while respecting all that diversity and tackling these huge social divides? That was the challenge the Constitution had to meet head on. Now, when you're facing a challenge this massive, you can't just have a committee. You need a true architect, a leader with incredible vision and a brilliant mind. And well, they found that leader in one truly remarkable person. He's known as the father of the Indian Constitution. And let me tell you, that title, it's not just some casual nickname. It is a testament to the absolutely colossal role this one man played in shaping the entire foundational document for a new India. And here he is, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. This man was not only a brilliant legal scholar, but also a fierce social reformer. He had personally fought against discrimination his whole life, so you can see why he was the clear, and I mean the clear, choice to be the chairman of the drafting committee. He was the chief architect. But of course, Dr. Ambedkar didn't do this all by himself. No way. He led a whole team, the drafting committee, which was packed with legal experts and real visionaries. And the entire process, the whole shebang, was overseen by Dr. Rajendra Prasad, who was the president of the Constituent Assembly. Their shared mission? To pull in the best ideas from all over the world and from every single corner of India to literally draft the nation's future. So with a task that big, where do you even start? Well, they started with a promise, a mission statement for the entire nation. It's called the Preamble, and you can really think of it as the soul of the entire Constitution. And right at the beginning, we find what was maybe the most radical idea of all. The power wasn't coming from a king or from a foreign ruler anymore. Nope, it was coming from the citizens themselves. The Preamble kicks off with three incredibly powerful words: "We, the people of India." That single phrase establishes that the people themselves are the source of all authority. Game-changing. Okay, so the preamble then lays out these 5 core principles for the new country. First, sovereign, meaning India is independent, its own boss. Second, socialist, a commitment to reducing social and economic inequality. Third, secular, the government doesn't play favorites with religion. Fourth, democratic, the people choose their government. And finally, a republic. The head of state is an elected president, not some king or queen. Every single one of these words is a foundational pillar. And it doesn't stop there. Beyond just defining what India is, the preamble makes 4 huge promises to every single citizen. It guarantees justice, social, economic, and political fairness for everyone. It promises liberty, the freedom to think, speak, and believe what you want. It secures equality, giving every citizen the same status and opportunities. And finally, fraternity. This idea of a spirit of brotherhood, of looking out for each other. This is basically the moral compass for the entire nation. Okay, so that all sounds great, but how does this grand promise actually affect you, the individual? Well, that's the thing. The Constitution isn't just some dusty document for the government. It's basically a contract between the state and every single one of its citizens, between you and the nation. And it's a two-way street, for sure. On one side of this contract, you have your fundamental rights. These are the promises the nation guarantees to you, and they are enforceable by law. But on the other side, you have fundamental duties. These are your responsibilities. what you're expected to give back to the nation. It's more of a moral obligation. And these rights, they're the absolute heart of individual liberty. We're talking about the right to equality, which means everyone is equal before the law. The right to freedom, which includes your freedom of speech, protection of life and liberty, super important. And the right to freedom of religion, so you can practice your own faith. These aren't just, abstract ideas. They are concrete, real-world protections for every single citizen. But here's where the creators of the Constitution were truly brilliant. They were total visionaries. They knew that a document they wrote back in the 1940s couldn't possibly predict all the challenges of the future. I mean, how could it? So they built in a way for it to change and adapt. And how much has it changed? Get this. 106. That's how many times the Indian Constitution has been amended as of 2023. Now, that number isn't a sign of weakness at all. Actually, it's proof of its greatest strength, its ability to adapt. It shows the Constitution is a living thing that can evolve right alongside the nation. And really, that's the key takeaway here. The Constitution was never meant to be a prison, a rigid, unchanging set of rules. Instead, it was designed to be a framework, something dynamic that could bend and adapt to new social, economic, and political challenges. That's what ensures it stays relevant generation after generation. So all of this brings us to a final, pretty big question. This incredible document, this promise of a nation, written way back in 1949, a promise of justice, liberty, and equality, how does that promise resonate today in our incredibly complex world? That's definitely something worth thinking about.